Wanted to address something today that so many of you come to me about, which is shoulder pain and back pain. And so anytime anyone comes to me with shoulder pain, I always want to look at the posturing of the spine, because when we have pain in our bodies, it is always going to be misalignment or something that is taking the brunt of something else. And so for a lot of times when we have neck pain, shoulder pain, pain up here, it is because our head is misaligned. And so it is almost impossible to align the head without working with the lower body. So I wanted to go through just some really simple ways that you can begin to reposture your spine so that you can get some of this tension out of your shoulders and neck. So how I like to learn this, and which seems to be the most accessible way for people of all types of bodies, of stiffness, of whatever it is that you have going on, is to sit in Virasana. And you can do this with 2 blocks, you can do this with 1 block. If it's really hard for you to be on your feet like this, sit in a chair and do this, right? With your feet down on the ground. And so Virasana is one of the best poses to shape the arch of the feet, right? In Virasana, you want your knees all the way together. You don't want them splaying out. Otherwise, whatever the misalignment is, you're going to feel it in your knee. So your knees are all the way together. When you're sitting in it, eventually the arches of your feet will be the same mirror as the arch of your butt. And so you want your feet curving in so that you're on the pinky toe side of the back foot. Every time we're on the pinky toe side of the back foot, we know that we're centered in the knee. The moment my feet are like this, I'm going to start feeling it everywhere. So when you come into Virasana, you're obviously not going to want to sit all the way down. It's going to be a lot. Lift yourself up, right? If you have really tense muscles right here on the fronts of your ankles, you can roll up like a little blanket or something like this so that there's not so much flexion in your ankles. And then you just put the block wherever it's most comfortable. So this is the first thing you want to do, because this pose is so great, like I said, to work the arches of the feet. And the moment you're working the arches of your feet, you're going to be working in your pelvic floor, because the way that your 2 arches come together is the shape of your pelvic floor. And so when you are sitting like this, what you really want to learn how to do is to sit between your pubis and your coccyx. And so most of us sit back on our tails. And so what happens when we're sitting back like this all the time is that it throws the head too far forward. When the head is too far forward, our head is heavy, right? We got a brain, we got, a skull, like it's a lot of pressure on our shoulders and on our back. And so when we're so used to sitting slouched over all the time, I mean, look at people that are older than you, they have hunchbacks, right? Because over time, this is what happens to the body. And so we really want to learn to sit between our pubis and our coccyx. So it should feel like you're on that trampoline of your pelvic floor. And the moment you're on this trampoline in your lower body, you're going to have a much easier time to align your neck. And so your spine is designed with waves for a reason. You never want to take the curves out of your spine. When people take the curves out of their spine, this is when we start to see spinal issues, when discs start to slip. And so your spine is like a shock absorber, just like the arch of your foot. So if you have flat arches, you're going to have flatter waves in your spine. If you have really high arches, you're going to have higher arches in your spine. And so this wave is just going to move throughout your whole body. And so now, when we're working with our natural waves of our spine in the practice, which is what is really going to give you good shoulder alignment, which is what's going to give you, for a free neck, so you're not having neck pain, so that, all that tension isn't moving up and creating headaches, right, in your head from the back being misaligned, from the bladder meridian having too much stress on it. When you find yourself centered between your pubis and coccyx, you will naturally have this arch in your lower back. And so the lower back is designed with a wave, right? It's designed to have a wave. And again, this is like your shock absorber. The way that the spine moves, this is your Kundalini energy. This is the snake energy. It's so that when you fall, when you bounce, when you're walking, this reverberation isn't crushing your bones, right? It is moving and moving itself throughout your body. And so your lower back is naturally designed to have this light wave, right? And then your thoracic spine is designed to have this wave. So our sacrum curls this way, our lower back curls forward, our thoracic spine curls back, and our neck curls up, and then our head. And so in the back of the head, we're having the reflection of the sacrum. In the lower back, we're having the reflection in the same patterns found in the neck, right? And then the thoracic spine is the middle of that whole wave and ripple and reverberation. And so in order to bring your head more into alignment, you have to start with the foundation. You have to start with the lower body. And so to just train yourself to sit in Virasana, right? To ensure that as you're sitting here, you're tipping your pubic bone down slightly, so you're between your pubis and your coccyx. This is your right angle that moves from the universe through your skull, through your throat, through your torso, through your perineum, and down into the center of the earth. And when you find this angle, you will be centered inside of yourself. It will allow your hips and your shoulders and your ears to be in this one straight line. And then now all of a sudden your back muscles aren't having to hold up your head because you're balancing yourself in time and space, right? Just like a quarter balances on its side when you pick it up and you find that sweet spot where it just balances. That's what you want to find for yourself, is that sweet spot. And then it's not about being linear and rigid because a stick will break, right? It is, how do you move these waves through your body now? And so when we spend so much time in our lower backs and we're trying to come forward, oftentimes what you'll see is the reverse curve in the thoracic spine. So if the lower back is curled back, the thoracic spine is going to try to balance that by curving forward. And then now all of a sudden your shoulders aren't sitting on your rib cage. And so this is the weak point in the shoulders, where if you're lifting or doing anything with your shoulders when your spine is like this, you're going to hurt your shoulder. You're going to injure your shoulder. And so we really get to learn how to pull our sternum back in space so that our rib cage on the back is fitting with our shoulder blades. So our shoulder blades are sitting right on top of the rib cage. Anytime we're too far forward, anytime we're sitting back and trying to jut our chest forward and having our ribs flare out, then these two are making contact. And all the little tiny tendons and ligaments that are trying to keep the shoulder together, because it's a very unstable joint, are now vulnerable. And so that is why the best way and the simplest way to begin to work on your posturing is to simply learn how to sit well in Virasana, articulating all the beautiful natural waves of your spine and learning how to be in this posture that seems so simple, but is really reprogramming you and your body and your spine, so that when you're out in life, when you're sitting, when you're walking, this alignment has already been started to become programmed inside of you. And so it's a simple pose, right? You can do it sitting on a chair, it doesn't matter. But when you're doing it in Virasana, it's really nice because it shapes the arches of your feet, which gives an opportunity to shape your pelvic floor, right? And so, you know, when I see shoulder tension, when I see neck pain, when I see shoulder injuries, this is the first thing I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at, where isn't your spine aligned? Do you have your shoulder blades on your rib cage, right? Are you overworking one shoulder or not? Which is your stronger arm? We're looking at all of these things, but where it starts is the waves of the spine. And so I wanted to share that simple posturing trick with you so that you can rebalance yourself in the center, so that you can start to flush off some of that shoulder tension and some of that neck pain, start to mitigate, you know, the effects of our lives, which are really like in front of us, right? On the phone, whatever else we're doing, driving. Like, that's what the yoga practice is for, is to just constantly reprogram your body in a formal setting so that, you know, you can flow with the demands of life, so that you can be the most embodied and empowered and capable and vibrant person that you are, even though life is hard. And so if you do want more shoulder alignment, I'm doing a shoulder series. That's going to be a 3-part series where we're going to really learn how to use the pole to see where our shoulders are off, learn proper shoulder alignment so that, you know, you learn the right way to work in your shoulders, and really learning that, you know, the arms are framing up your lungs. And so when we have things going on in our shoulders, it impacts and affects our lungs. And we in this practice really want to learn how to fill up our lungs like a container, like a vessel. And that's why, you know, in autumn, it's the best time to do this work, because the lungs have their expression in autumn. They work with the large intestine. So it's all about clearing the grief and sadness and letting it all go, right? So that we can embody the courage that we need to go out into the world. And so the shoulder alignment series will really be the best starting point to, you know, not only learn how to work in your shoulders well, to flush out old things that are stuck in your shoulders, and to get the pliancy and the mobility that you're going to need to live a long and healthy life inside of your shoulders. And so these tools aren't just for now, they're for later. They're so that when you're old, you're living a good life, so that you have the mobility and the fluidity in your body, to know that the body's designed to fall apart and it's designed to get rigid and hard. But your practices can change the timing on when that happens. And so if you want to join me, I'm going to link it below. Otherwise, I hope that this little tiny technique really helps you to recalibrate yourself, to realign your posture, and that it begins to come out into your everyday life so that you feel a little bit more free in your body. So make sure you subscribe to my channel below if you want more free informational videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.